Ghost ships don't need to be real to be scary, which is why in the case of the SS Ourang Medan, the contested claims of legitimacy aren't enough to disturb the sleep of many a sailor as their boat travels through a dark, empty sea. Today, we tell the story of the shipwreck that washed up in the Dutch East Indies when all of her crew died under mysterious circumstances, before disappearing suddenly and inexplicably forever. Does it sound believable? Well, depending on who you ask, the SS Ourang Medan is either a pure fantasy, an urban legend built around a grain of truth, or a true story whose detractors only insult the crew who all died so suddenly. So, what happened all those years ago? Was the mystery of the sailors' deaths ever resolved, and could it have been avoided? Where did the legend even come from? And most importantly of all, are all your doors and windows locked? June 1947. 2 American vessels, along with many other ships, are navigating through the Straits of Malacca in a routine and quiet voyage. Plenty of ships occupy these waters, so it was by no means uncharted territory. In fact, with the bright sun and calm waters, this day nothing was out of the ordinary. That was, until the radio started crackling. Someone was sending a message in Morse code. You wouldn't have had to be the more experienced deckhand to instantly recognize what those first few beeps spelled out. SOS, save our soul. Souls? Ghoulish indeed. But the message didn't stop there. What came next shook the bones of all those who heard it. We float. All officers, including the captain, dead in the chart room and on the bridge. Probably whole of crew dead. Dead? Did this mean the ships would be racing to a search and rescue operation or a crime scene? It was time to think carefully about who was sending this message and why. Apparently, it wasn't the captain. But would a lowly deckhand be as versed in Morse code? And if they were the only survivor, does that mean they are the culprit or just lucky? Perhaps it was bait. Perhaps the passing vessels were being lured into a trap by pirates. Or worse, a mutinous crew turned insane. But then, more Morse code came over the radio. This time, though, the messages made no sense. It was garbled nonsense. Just some confused dots and dashes. Maybe this person was trying to communicate in another language. They had said the name of their ship, after all, SS Ourang Medan. In time, investigators would discover that Ourang means man in Indonesian. Then, the final message. This time the meaning was clear. There could be no confusion or uncertainty. I die. Silence. The Morse code ceased. The first boat to locate the origin of the messages was the American vessel Silver Star. What they saw as they approached seemed normal. A seemingly undamaged boat floating in the ocean under a bright sun. If anything, it was idyllic. The name written on the hull confirmed that this was indeed the Ourang Medan they had been searching for. However, attempts were made to signal to the boat, but no response came forth. Should the Silver Star wait for backup, or should they act now in case anyone on board needed immediate help? The crew of the Silver Star weighed up their options and chose the latter. They boarded the ship. Once again, everything seemed normal. At first. Then they saw that whoever had been sending the messages had been telling the truth. Everyone was dead. Corpses lay about the ship with not a single person alive. Yet there had been no massacre. There was no blood, no disfigurement. But stranger still was how the bodies of the crew were positioned on their backs, staring up at the sun. Though the bodies were not organized neatly, they were not strewn about randomly. It was really as if everyone was doing their job when suddenly something happened to all of them. What caused them to fall to the ground? Given none were face down, they must have been looking skyward for a reason. Their faces, with teeth bared, suggested something fearful in their final moments. In fact, even the ship's dog was found dead, frozen in the same manner as if it passed away mid-growl. The ship was explored, yet no clues were discovered. No sign of a struggle, no bullet holes in the walls, or disarray in the room. As the members of Silver Star surveyed the ghost ship, another American boat arrived, the city of Baltimore. They would not board the mysterious shipwreck, however, but they would become a valuable second witness in what was about to unfold. You see, little did any of the rescue teams know at the time, but a fire had broken out in the bowels of the ship. In fact, the Silver Star crew had only been on the SS Ourang Medan for a short time before they noticed flames spreading through the craft. This had led some to speculate whether this fire was purely an accident. Could it have been that someone on board was hastily trying to cover their tracks upon the arrival of witnesses? Or was the fire related to the cause of death? Those answers would have to wait, as the Silver Star crew had to quickly abandon the ship lest they too add to the body count. But no sooner had the crew retreated to their own boat than the SS Ourang Medan exploded. Witnesses said that whatever combusted in the hull of this grisly tableau did so with such force that the ghost ship lifted from the water momentarily before quickly sinking down into the deep waters without leaving a single trace or survivor. Or so it was believed. According to one of the many versions of this story, a sole survivor was indeed discovered sometime later. An Italian missionary and the natives on Taoni Atoll, a coral atoll near the Marshall Islands, discovered a German man washed up on the shore. They tried to nurse him back to health, but alas, he perished. But not before lifting the lid on the mystery. He claimed the ship was trying to avoid authorities due to their cargo, and so traveled from an unnamed port and resisted logging their presence with port authorities. Apparently, the ship had been carrying oil of vitriol, a powerful sulfuric acid with many industrial applications, and a valuable resource for any nation preparing for World War II. Allegedly, the containers carrying the poorly handled cargo broke, emitting toxic fumes which quickly overwhelmed all those who inhaled it. Some say it was likely another chemical, possibly cyanide, or wartime stocks of nerve agents on board that day. So, was it possible that seawater reacted with the cargo to release deadly gases? It's not unthinkable that a fire or explosion could be started by mixing saline solutions with nitroglycerin. Whatever the truth, the unnamed German survivor took it to the grave. Yet this has only fueled speculation. After all, if you were going to invent a story, it would be quite convenient to have a sole witness to a full confession, especially if he was a man of the cloth to whom he must surely be trustworthy. But for others, there are reasons to doubt even the claim of a survivor. Newspapers at the time reported conflicting stories, which is proof enough that there was more fact than fiction. Articles cited different dates, locations, and even boat names, making it hard to agree on a definitive timeline. But one intrepid reporter did find ship logs for Silver Star, proving that the biggest witness to this case was real. Yet, the logs did not reveal any rescue attempts. Was that because no rescue was possible? Maybe the crew had been traumatized by what they had seen. Or maybe it's because the SS Ourang Medan never existed. It would explain the complete absence of any shipwreck. No wreckage was ever discovered, and indeed, there were no registration records under that name in any country. Then again, if what the German said was true, then it wouldn't be on any records. And could the lack of an investigation be the result of prejudice? Perhaps some have already decided the boat never existed. Besides, there is no financial incentive for uncovering such a ship. And if the cargo had indeed been clandestine, either for a black market buyer or covert military mission, would the salvaging of the wreck be made public? It seems that it boils down to how much stock one is willing to place in the 2 newspaper articles of the German survivor. But that only gets us so close, whilst also putting us so far away. All witness testimonies have gone through layers upon layers of filtration and spin, whether malevolent or accidental, with no way of verifying them all these decades later. Part of it could be simple hearsay as sailors traveled port to port, and other parts could be tactful propaganda from nations trying to hide the truth. This means we're either dealing with spooky bedtime stories that drunken sailors swap to give their new cabin mate the heebie-jeebies anytime a distress signal is called, or all those lives lost that fateful day has been erased from the footnotes of history, leaving them as nothing more than outlines of truth designed to haunt our dream. We want to know if you think the SS Ourang Medan is real, especially if you have an alternative idea for what happened to its crew. Please leave your theories in the comments below. Be sure to share this with someone who loves a good ghost story. And if you'd like more investigation into myths and legends, well then please leave a like to let us know. Don't forget to subscribe for our next video, and we'll see you soon. Sweet dreams.